Hello, everyone. My name is Astral. I'm a Prestige 100 Artist main, currently writing the Artist Guide, and today we're going to talk with you about Artist's best maps and her worst maps. If you want to learn Artists, I'm always here to help, but one thing I definitely want to help you on is sometimes you do get screwed on the maps. Artist is a little map dependent, less so than more characters, I would say. For example, I would argue that Huntress and Deathslinger and Dredge are more map dependent than her. She definitely can struggle in certain areas of certain maps, but I think that she still can perform better than the other killers. So let's talk about what maps are good for her. Starting with Coal Tower. Coal Tower, in my opinion, is a good map for artists. It is very basic, very easy to learn. Main building is not that rough. Um, you can deal with it pretty well, especially since it is kind of a big loop. Most tiles are your basic TNL walls. They are your path palettes. Shack is also really easy to deal with on this map. It's a generally good map for artists. I don't find myself really struggling due to the map uh, because of Cold Tower. I'm like, if the survivors are good, they'll do well. It is a pretty good map. Groaning Storehouse, I would consider this as another good map for artists. The big thing with Groaning Storehouse is you kind of have to let those two outside gens go. You mainly want to defend the five that are in like the big loop. You know how there's Groaning Storehouse, and then there's the one gen all the way up here, and then the one gen all the way over there. You kind of gotta let those two go. Um, you mainly want to defend the main five in the circle of the map. Main building's not too painful. It can be rough when when they know how to loop it very very well, especially if they have a life through that one window before you break that door. But it's not too awful. You can swarm strike them very well. It's it's a pretty good map. I don't really have a issue with Groaning Storehouse. Ironworks of Misery. Uh, I am gonna go against a lot of artist mains who say this is a good map. It's not a bad map, but main building can kind of be a pain in the butt. Where it's like in the middle. It's like in the middle because main building's like rough on every killer, but main building especially when you don't when they're swarmed, you're ready to deal with it, and then they start running up either the inside stairs or the outside stairs, and you have to hope you're close enough to follow up. Especially if you haven't broke the door up there. Main building is definitely a pain in the butt. The rest of the map is fine, which is why I put it middle of the road. It's not like awful, but there are some moments where this main building will absolutely kick your butt, especially if they have balance landing, which is going to be a key thing with some of these maps. But I would say Ironworks is middle of the road. Easy to get snipes on, easy to get slingshots on. Not too many lockers. There's still a good amount, especially near like the main gen. Like there's always the pair of lockers there, so if they hop in the lockers, you pretty much always lose your shots there. Shelter Woods. Shelter Woods is huge. It is one of the biggest maps in the game. But there is one thing I love about Shelter Woods that puts it up in her all the way up in her good maps. There are like 6 lockers on this map. There is a huge lack of lockers, and it makes such a difference. It makes such a huge difference when you play on a map that barely has any lockers. Main building is actually not that bad. Uh, there are a few rough spots, like so. this tent over here, if you have that window, it can be a little rough. But the building itself, not that bad. This, the pallet down there, in the little gadget room where Skull Merchant resides, like, just melee bird it. It's not that bad. Um, like, this map is fantastic. It's not one of her best because of how big it is. So getting around is really rough, but because of how easy it is to hit snipes due to lack of lockers, how main building is not really a issue, how there's not really any bad tiles for artists, I actually think Shelter Woods is one of her good maps. Suffocation Pit. This, uh, this is another one where it's like the map is big. Main building can be kind of a pain in the butt. It's not the worst. I would consider it middle of the road. It suffers from something. We'll get to Azerov's in a little bit. Where it's kind of like an I-shaped map, where it's basically like you have one side, you have the other side, and then there's like this little thing in the middle. Artist doesn't really like those maps. Artist doesn't really like those because, kind of like with Shelter Woods, it's huge, and unfortunately, Suffocation Pit does kind of struggle with it. It can be easy to hit snipes, but it is huge. It's rough. You always kind of gotta commit to one side. It's middle road. There's not really any big things of elevation unless a hill spawns, but usually like you hit those anyway. It's not awful, but it's middle of the road. Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it doesn't. Azerov's is absolutely a rough but doable. Azerov's has one of the worst middle sections in the game. This is the worst I-shaped map in the game, because like with Shelter Woods, it has the one side, the other side, and then you have a middle, right? The middle has like 5 tiles connected to each other, and it is really hard to deal with artists. Really hard to deal with. Even if you try and do a swarm striker style, because there's so many ways you can go, it is really rough to kind of counter it, because you're like, alright, did they run to this pallet? Did they run to the window? Or did they do this? Did they do that? It can be a pain in the butt. Once you get them swarmed, it's pretty, like, obviously you follow the swarm and then you can follow up, but landing the first swarm can be a little rough because you have to expect them to go a certain way. But because there's so many ways they can go, they could run to that pallet, they could run to that window, or they could just run to one of the eye areas, or they could just loop back around and run through the eye that I just followed them through. It's really, that middle section makes it really rough on artists, because there's so many areas you can W key to that you kind of can't predict and follow up for unless you get really lucky, or they're just kind of being like, a bot where they're like, I run through this window, because there are some people who do that. They just see window, run through, and it's very easy to pick them off. But if they're actually like really good at mind gaming, this map is very rough. But it is doable. It is doable. You can defend one side. This is actually the map that I did lose my perkless artist streak on. I was at 5, and then I lost it on this map. It was really rough. Blood Lodge. Blood Lodge is actually pretty middle of the road, I would say. It's kind of like Ironworks, where it's not awful. I actually say it's a good map. Because I was thinking about, like, Balanced Landing. Survivors, they love main building. And it's not awful. I would actually say it's a good map. I don't really hate it as artists. The tiles are not too insane. Except for, like, up here, there's no elevation. That is really bad. I would say it's a good map. Good hit snipes on. Not too many lockers. Nothing, like, insane or chained together. I would say it's fine on if the survivors are good. I kind of base it off that, but I also don't. I kind of want based on like how easy it is for you. Like, if you go into this, how much is the map fighting you? That's kind of what I do it, because you can get good survivors, but you get something like one of these maps that we'll get to, and you can still wreck shop. Because, like, every survivor can be good, but how much is the map going to fight you on that? How much is the map helping you, or is it going to fight you? Which is kind of what I base it on. Speaking of maps that will fight you, Gas Heaven is rough, but it is doable. Main building is a pain in the bitch. Oh my god. This is one of the most annoying main buildings in the entire game. In the entire game. It is miserable trying to do this main building. You can't really like melee bird it, because there's so much stuff in the way. And you can swarm strike it and like swarm and then follow up, but it's such a pain in the butt. It's such a pain in the butt. And a lot of things that people don't talk about is there are a lot of tiles on this map. There are a lot. There are a lot of pallets, a lot of tiles, which you can melee bird or swarm strike at, but they can just W key because there's pallets everywhere on this map. This map does have a high density of pallets. There are a lot. They can just run and W key, run and W key, run and W key, where it makes missing very punishing. So you have to make sure you land those shots. And pray to God, you are a human cheat code. You are a human cheat code. So, it's rough, but it's doable. It's rough, but it's doable. Records Yard is, in my opinion, a hot take, one of her best maps. The main building is Shack. You're going to see a trend here with some of these maps. Wrecker's Yard is really good for artists. This is one of her best maps, in my opinion. Like, unless they spawn a hill, there is no elevation. There is not a lot of lockers on this map, except by like the bus, obviously Shack, the tanker, and like a few tiles. But I like this map. I'm just like, all right, back to the shooting range. Boop, boop, boop. Like, this map very much works in your favor. No elevation, lack of lockers, very easy tiles to deal with. There's nothing insane on this map. I think it is one of her best maps in the entire game. Wretched Shop. I don't hate this map. I don't really have anything against this map. Then again, I don't get this map a lot as artists, but usually when I do, like, it's fine. Like, main building isn't too hard to deal with, because they all have the one window. Like, there's the one window, and then you just swarm them, and then you follow up. I don't really have anything against this map. I'd probably say it's good map or middle of the road. Like, it's fine. BRB, Bantam match? Alright, sounds good. Alright. Like, it's fine. Like, there's not too many lockers. There's, like, it's... Like, I don't really have a problem with it on ours. It's one of those maps where you just get, it's like, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't hate it. It's not the worst. Like, it's there. It's a good map. I would say it's fine. Fractured Cowshed. I would say, now I will say, the Cowshed map, like the Fractured, like, the Cold Wind maps are all pretty good for artists. So, I am going to kind of speedrun this, but I will explain for all of you why. These are all pretty good maps, except for one. Fractured Cowshed is a good map. No elevation. unless they go up the excavator or the whatever that thing is. And even then, like, easy to deal with. Swarm, follow up, or melee bird. Like, it's not insane. Really good sniping potential. All Coldwind maps have a lack of lockers, which is fantastic. And it makes it very easy to snipe. They don't have insane tiles that are a pain in the booty to deal with. Like, I would say this is a good map. I would say this is a fantastic map for artists. Same with Rancid Abattoir. This is a good map for artists. Main building, not insane. You got the one pallet inside and then maybe the one window. It's not hard to deal with. Lots of corn, lots of, like... It's a good map. Now, one of her best maps is one of the Coldwind Farm, and that is Rotten Field. It's the same thing as Wrecker's Yard, where Shack is your main building, and Shack is very easy to deal with as artists. There is a lot of nothing here. There is so many dead zones that you can just... Like I said, when I go Wrecker's Yard, snipe. I'm on the firing range. It's pretty easy to deal with. You just snipe. It's Snipe City. It's super fun. I love artists on Rotten Fields. But these two are not her best map, in my opinion. Which is what I'm going to... we'll get to in a little bit. Thompson House. This is probably the worst of the Coldwinds to get, because of main building having obviously all that elevation, but like the rest of the map is a dead zone. It's still a really good map for artists. Main building's just your pain point, but like the rest of the map is super easy. You have a whole like massive dead zone in the middle that's just corn with very easy to deal with pallets. You don't have a lot of tiles, huge lack of lockers. You have Shack in the back corner. Except main building will obviously be a pain point, but even then it's not the worst main building. Like, it is very, very easy to deal with Thompson House, and it is a fantastic map. Torment Creek. Torment Creek is actually not that great. It's kind of like Thompson House, except in a different way. There are a lot of lockers on Torment Creek. I realized this when I played on it a while ago. Like, there are lockers, this probably has the most of the Coldwinds. There's like a bunch of lockers at main building. There's a bunch of lockers at the tiles. And there is a few near the middle. It's honestly probably it's probably the second worst to get, but because of huge lack of elevation, it's still not that bad. Alright, so now we get onto the asylum maps. We have Father Campbell's Chapel and Disturbed Ward. Disturbed Ward, in my opinion, in my humble artist opinion, is a very... I don't know if I want to consider it one of her worst, but this map is very bad for artists. I honestly might put it down here for now. I'll have to see what else I think are her worst maps. But I know Disturbed Ward is really awful on her. Half of it is main building. There are certain areas that are pretty good on artists, but this is one of the biggest maps. There are a lot of lockers on this map. Some of the to be fair, some of the tiles are super playable, especially when you have the burning squares. I'll put that rough but doable, actually. And considering that, I actually think I'm also going to put Father Campbell Chapel at rough but doable. The two problems with these maps are their main buildings. Their main buildings are some of the most survivor-sided main buildings in the entire game. So, and this one is kind of RNG dependent. If they get the God window, oh, Jesus, it's gonna be awful for you. Uh, this one doesn't really have that bad because main building is consistent. You know what you're dealing with. But this one has a lot of RNG to it, where it's like either you get the God window, you get the good window, or you get, funny enough, no window. I've had that happen to me, of course, on Survivor. It's not not that good. Not that good. Lampkin Lane. Okay, so this is where I am going to disagree with a lot of artist mains. I actually think Lampkin Lane is middle of the road. Middle of the road, because Lampkin Lane is very extreme in two areas. The area you're good at, and then the areas you're not good at. The road and the yards are free. Like, they are free, and the basement of the middle house is like guaranteed. You just put a bird at the top of one stair, you come down the other, and then like you either get your injury down. Like, that basement is so fucking free. I don't know why more people don't play it like that, because I'm like, it's never failed. Because you just block one exit with a bird. They try to run up it, bird. 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 However, despite all that good, those houses are pains in the asses. But only in a certain area, and that is defending the generators if they spawn at the top. Main building always has its gen on top. That's a given. But chase-wise, the houses are not that awful. Funny enough. Like, the back corner house that, like, if you're standing at main building looking out to the house with the basement, you have the house on the left, house to the right. Where, like, there's a little, like, garden in the middle of the basement house and the right corner house. There, like, that window is very easily defendable because it has it behind the stairs. Very easy to swarm strike. Very easy to deal with. Running, like, usually most of the windows usually have, like, openings next to them. So they're not too awful. Of course, if they have balanced landing, it's even worse. So I personally think Lampkin is middle of the road. Because I've had some really good matches on Lampkin. Where I'm like, because, like, the road is very easy to deal with. The road and the basement house and some of the chases are easy. Just gen defense is really bad. Especially if RNG, fucks you over. I think Lampkin's middle of the road. It feels bad, and that's what we're going to get to a few of the maps, where it just feels bad. There is a map on here that people think is Ars's worst map, and I'm like, it's actually not, but it's boring as hell. Now the Swamp. Swamp is infamously known to be Artist's worst maps. Like, straight up. Like, everyone's like, this is Arceus' worst map. The elevation is terrible. It's awful. It's the worst maps. I'm actually going to give you a hot take. Both of these are kind of similar, but not. Grim, we're going to start with Grim. Because Grim, I actually think is middle of the road. Grim kind of functions like a two-layered map. You can only defend main gen from certain elevations. However, it is much more easier to access those elevations, being the little hill on where Shack is, Boardwalk, and the little main building. And the little main building's not hard to deal with. Main building and Boardwalk are your main pain points. Those are the two main pain points of Swamp. Grim Pantry is Boardwalk and main building. But outside of that, it's actually not that bad. There's not a lot of tiles. You only have the one in, like, the back corner. You have a few pallets here and there. Like, outside of that one tile, what does Swamp have? Like, you have a few pallets. Swamp, like, Grim Pantry is one of those maps that feels bad, but it actually is not awful. You just have to get used to it. Understanding, like, hey, this is where a hill is, where your elevation is going. That's one of the key tricks with this map, is knowing where's my bird gonna go if I place it near this slope. Where's it gonna go? Do I have it going through an obstacle? That way it's not gonna go all the way down slope if I want it to hit main gen from Shack. That is one of the key skills of ours, and once you learn that, Grim Pantry's not awful. It's still rough. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not a good map. Like, it's not up here, but I don't think it's anywhere near her worst. I don't think it's anywhere near her worst. However, Pale Rose is definitely really rough, but I would much prefer it over the Asylum maps. It's the ship. The ship is really hard to deal with artists. It's really hard. There's so many ways they can go. W key. They can run up the stairs up, and they could either vault down or run around or just cut early, go around. Like, there's so many different routes they can take on that main building. However, the rest of the map is very easy. Like I said, it's the same thing with Grim, where main building and boardwalk are going to be your pain points. Those are going to be the worst areas. Little ship, very easy to swarm strike, because they have the one back window, depending on which way it's facing. Sometimes it's that way, sometimes it's the opposite. They have the one tile in the corner, and then, like, the rest of the map is actually not that bad. But because of how rough boardwalk and main building can be, it's down here and rough but doable. Leary's. Leary's is another one I hear is a really bad map for artists. But I'm gonna be honest, it's not that terrible. It's not that terrible. I'd probably put Leary's here. I'd probably put Leary's middle of the road. Maybe rough but doable, but Leary's, so the issue with Leary's, and like I said to Stinky, Leary's suffers from the RNG issue. Like, it's the opposite of Swamp. Swamp does feel bad, but Swamp, the layout never changes. The layout never, ever changes. You know where Boardwalk's gonna be. You know where main building's gonna be. You know where mini main building's gonna be. And you know where Shack's gonna be. And you know where the one tile is gonna be. The layout never changes. Leary's, the windows and the doors, they all can change, which makes it very hard to learn this map, and can also either make it, it's a feast or famine map. It either is very easy to trap people because they don't have a door there, or it's one of the most annoying W key maps in the game because there's a window or door there. It's very, I would honestly argue this is the most middle of the road, because it's either really, really good or it's really, really annoying. Especially if they have life. The main room is also kind of a pain if they have bounce landing. When they run up the stair and immediately vault in the window. If you're not on them close enough, you never really hit that. And it's annoying. So I would say it's middle of the road. Mother's Dwelling. How do I feel about Mother's Dwelling? On Artist? It's not a good map. Because Mother's Dwelling's main building is a pain. You have the mini main building that they can use pretty well. Most of the tiles are doable, but I'd probably put Mother's Dwelling rough but doable. if they get the God window on main, it's hell. You can never really melee it. You have to swarm it, and if you miss, like they just get away for free. Which I know there's gonna be someone in the comments being like, "Well, just don't miss forehead." Unfortunately for you, I don't cheat, and I don't have enhancements in my body, so I am not a human cheat code. Guess what? I'm gonna miss sometimes, but it's really. I'm trying to think like what else on that map is rough. Some of the tiles can be a pain because they're very bumpy. I would actually, yeah, I'd keep it here because none of the tiles are really linear on this map. There's always like a log or a rock in the way, so you can't fully melee it. Where you always have to like melee it, but outwards because there's a bush or a rock in the way. So the survivors have a little, sorry, they have a little wiggle room to avoid the melee while still dropping a pallet. So I'd probably put that rough but doable. Temple of Purgation, actually, I think is a pretty good map. Main building's not that awful. You can, the elevation is short enough where you can hit people. And main building is like not, like no one really goes down there because obviously they could get trapped. The tiles are not insane. They do have the mother's dwelling issue where some of the tiles there's something in the way, so you can't fully melee it. I actually never really have an issue on temple. I'm like I just like either melee or swarm. Some of the tiles are very easy, especially like the rock wall tiles where they have the 1 power mill. It's very easy to deal with those. All right. So yeah, I think this is one of the good map for artists. Okay, this was this was no contest. No contest whatsoever. In my opinion, and through my experience, this is 100% Arce's worst map. Batum is horrendous for artists. This map is terrible. They're like gens at different elevation. Like it has everything she hates. There are a lot of lockers. There are a lot of W key loops, especially the basement house. I don't know if that House of Pain is a W key nightmare unless they're like easy and just are like, well, I see you and I'm gonna run up the stairs, vault through window, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, swarm bird, and then follow up. But like, this map is awful. Main building is a butt to deal with. It is not a good map. It is genuinely one of probably the worst map. It is one of the worst map in the games, but for me, in my opinion, I think this is Ars's worst map, like hands down. It's not even close. So many pallets, so many tiles, so much rough areas for artists. It is like there's not really any good on this map. Except for like a few little tiles, like the little car tile behind main building, you know, where it has the pallet. Like, yeah, that's easy to deal with. It's not too hard. Like, there's nothing really you can idle shot. There's not really anything you can, like, there's a few swarm strike areas, but there's so much elevation and houses nearby that you have to kind of pray you can hit it. And it, like, oh, I hate this map so much. Can we please rework it? Can we get rid of it? The game. So the game suffers from the Leary's issue where it's RNG, especially with the doors. Because some of the doors allow areas to be trapped very easily. For example, the TNL wall corner in the basement, if there's a door there, like, that area is easy. Like, that area is so easy to trap if there's only one way out. But if there's no door there, it's kind of harder to deal with, because at any point they see an opening, they can W key away. Um, it can be Melee Bird City, depending on survivors. There's so many god palettes though. There's so many strong tiles. It is W Key City, but there are a lot of cool shots. There's a lot of areas that you can do well with. You just have to play very differently. And that's one of the things I think a lot of artist mains hate about this map is you have to play more zone and melee. You have to play more zone and melee, and if you do want to snipe, you have to do a slingshot to guarantee value out of that, unless they don't know what a locker is. Unless they don't know what a locker is, you do have to go for a slingshot. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work. Now, where would I put this? I'd probably put this in rough but doable. I think it's still doable. I haven't had awful moments with this map, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst. I can't say it's one for worse. Because there are some areas that are really, really good and very easy to trap. It's just RNG dependent. Yamaoka Estate. They're not the worst. I think I'm gonna rank these two together. I think both of these are middle of the road. They're not too awful. Obviously Sanctum of Wrath suffers from the eye map issue, but I think it's the most manageable out of the two. None of the mini buildings, like the mini buildings are short enough where you can just swarm them and strike them and still hit them. No, none of the tiles are insane. One of the tiles that is annoying though, like some of the tiles are annoying because they're like very round. Like there's no linear blockage. It's a giant rock, so you can't, kind of like with Mother's Dwelling, you can't straight melee bird it without them having a little space, or you have to put it through the pallet or the window, and they might just W key away. Like they're middle of the road. They're not like too awful. They don't have too many lockers, so you can snipe pretty easily on this map. So I'd probably say that it's not. They're middle of the road. I'd say they're middle of the road. Ormond. Okay. So this is where, like with other artist mains, I am gonna kind of disagree. I actually prefer Ormond Lake Mine over main Ormond. And main Ormond I'm gonna put rough but doable. Ormond Lake Mine's pain point is main building. There's no question about it. Main building is your biggest pain point. I do not enjoy main building. However, the rest of the map is kind of easy. It's kind of easy to deal with. Even like the little underground area with next to like the smokestack thingy, whatever this is, like that's not too hard to deal with. But main building is just a pain in the butt. Ormond's main building, however, in my opinion, is much more painful because it is kind of W key and it's in the middle of the map. It's accessible to everyone. They can go to every tile and decide, I'm gonna run main building. They can't really do that on Ormond Lake Mine. If you're over by Shack, I can easily cut you off and block you and get you down before you get to main building. Or the back area near the little cylinders that you can run through with the one window. That area is also easy to deal with. So that's why I actually don't mind Ormond Lake Mine. When I first saw this map, I originally thought like, yeah, this is gonna be one of her worst. But then I play on it, I'm like, it's not good. It's not awful. I actually don't mind this map. I would consider it middle of the road. There aren't too many lockers, except for, main building. So, and Shack. But, yeah, I would say middle of the road. Okay. Here's another hot take. Here's another hot take. And you're gonna have to bear with me. You're gonna have to bear with me, everyone. You're gonna have to bear with me. Hawkins is not that good. But I have to admit, I have the most fun on this map. I love Hawkins so much. Hi, local lesbian. Thank you so much for redeeming your daily Carmina love. I actually love Hawkins. And you would know, I post Twitter clips on Hawkins all the time. You know, you guys see me be like, yep, I love this so much. I love this map so freaking much. It is, hands down, my favorite artist map. It is so much fun. I enjoy it so much. Definitely one of my favorites. I hit the top gen slingshots. I get the third floor gen when they drop down melee birds. Like, there's so many fun shots on this map. Is it a good map? No. It suffers from the game issue where it's RNG based, especially with the doors. It can either, like, there's so many W key areas, or they can be trapped and you can get them down very easily. And some of the loops are very annoying. There are a lot of elevation areas where they can just run upstairs, but generally, I think it's much better than the game. I actually very much enjoy Hawkins. When I get Hawkins, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to show off, because I know some trick shots. I know some trick shots on this map, and I've hit them. I've hit them a few times. I hate Hawkins. I do hate it on every other killer. I will say that. Unless your name is Nemesis. Nemesis likes the game and Hawkins, because he's just like, pallet, where are the pallets? What are those? Bonk. Pallets, where are those? Bonk. And then zombies actually can get a lot of value. But on Artist, I've actually really enjoyed Hawkins. This room that you see in the photo is actually very easy to trap with Artists. With the idle shot trap where they vault. So what they do, I'll actually teach you guys a little thing. There's the vault up here right by the gen. If you know someone's working on it and they're seeing for you to come up to which a lot of people find weird. I love Midwich. I love Midwich for the aesthetic alone, but I actually enjoy Midwich. Funny enough, I enjoy it the most as a survivor. Call me crazy, but I am crazy. So the little trick for this map is, so if someone's up here, you see they're baiting the vault, place a bird right here, right at this console, right here, where they drop down, and then on the entrance over here, you place a bird aimed right at it. So when you go up and they vault down, they drop into the bird, get swarmed, send the bird from the entrance there right at them. It's like, it's a guaranteed hit. Unless you aimed it wrong, but, which, I totally, I've totally not done that. Totally not done that. I did cry myself to sleep that night. That was very rough for me. When I missed that, I was like, it was right there. It was so easy. But yes, Hawkins has a lot of spots you can trap and very easily use well. It just takes knowledge and time. So, which is why I think it's the middle road. Do I enjoy Hawkins as an artist? Yes. But that's just a me thing. I love Hawkins. I love going for the shots. I love it. It's so fun. Now, this is gonna be another hot take. Dead Dog Saloon, in my opinion, is one of her worst maps. I hate this map. This map is so rough. There is only a few areas where she's good at. For example, the dead zone corner. You know, behind the gallows. Yeah, that area is basically free. The rest of the map really isn't. Main building is awful. Unless you have people who are playing in the Autobot level where they're just running the circle, like being like, oh, this will work. This always works. I've done that where I place a bird up the stairs outside the window where I'm like, I trap it and then I chased a Meg out who just kept running that, I'm like, Meg, get ready. Because if you run this like a bot, you're about to get punished. I set up a second bird to extend timer. Meg, of course, ran up the outside stairs into window, and I just went bird. And I'm like, get screwed. Main building's a pain in the butt. Shack, unfortunately, being close to so many tiles, they are able to W key away from it, which really sucks on some of these maps, because, like, Rotten Fields, for example, there's nothing really near Shack. So if they're by a Shack, they kind of have to commit to it, allowing you to punch them easier. Same with Wrecker's Yard, unless they get the one tile, like, that's nearby. But even then, that's easy to deal with. Dead Dog, like, everything's nearby. And then the whole string of buildings is just W key central. Like, nothing makes me more frustrated than playing on Dead Dog. Because Dead Dog is not a good artist map. It is really rough. Really, really rough. Main building is one of the worst for her. Because it goes up and then down and then up. Like, go upstairs, go around, go downstairs, go through window. There's so many ways that they can just run Dead Dog. And it sucks, especially if they're smart. If, I will say, Dead Dog is so much easier when they complete the Gallows gen and the main building gen straight off rip. Once they do that, it's easier. It's so much easier because then you're like, well, I don't have to worry about those gens. I just defend all these gens. Pew, pew, pew. And then you can get it going. It's still annoying because sometimes they'll just run to main building and you're like, well, I don't want to deal with that. But if they're smart and get the gens that are not those first, like, it's so bad. Because Dead Dog doesn't, like, it doesn't have the swamp thing, right? Swamp, at least I can go to 3 different areas of the map and defend main building. You can't defend main building gen unless you go to the Gallows. And you can't really even defend Gallows from main because main is slightly higher. So you try to aim a bird from main at the Gallows, you don't hit anyone. So I'm just like, I think Dead Dog is 100% one of her worst maps. 100%. Midwich. Where would I put Midwich? I like this map. I actually enjoy a lot on Artist, especially if I'm playing Stealth Artist. Oh, I feast on this map. Because, fun little fact, Artist is the second quietest killer in the game, right behind Pinhead. She makes no footsteps, and the only sound she makes, because most killers, when they make noise, they do a heavy breathing, kind of like how Deathslinger does the or Bubba has his chainsaw and he does the, like, everyone breathes loud. You know what Artist does for her breathing noise? Yeah. She is very, very quiet. That's why stealth builds are actually viable on her. Now, when it comes to Midwich, it does have a lot of lockers. It is a double-layered map. However, it is melee bird central, and I actually think I prefer it up here. I actually love Midwich on Artist, because melee birds are one of my favorite things to play for. Snipes are very satisfying, but there's just something about getting the melee and the down afterwards where I'm just like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. And this map is very, very easy. The windows are very easy to swarm. Very easy to swarm. Because there's always the rooms with one window. Like, this map is middle of the road, because you can get screwed, especially if they have bounce landing. And they can be a pain in the booty. But generally, I don't hate this map. I actually am like, alright, guess I'm going melee bird. Okay. RPD. I still don't know what either of these, like, represent. I'm going to assume this is East Wing and this is West Wing, because this is on the west side. If we have East Wing, this is gonna be like I said, huge hot take. If you have RPD East Wing, just like Midwich, melee bird central. Because here's the trick with RPD East Wing. For those who don't know, when you walk into the lobby, if it's West Wing, this side, your left, technically you're seeing me from the right, but your left will be extended, and then if it's East Wing, the right will be extended. East Wing is the one with the helicopter roof, and then West Wing is the one with like the upstairs, like bathroom and office up there. If you have the helicopter roof up there with the outside gen, do not ever go to East Side. Stay in the middle and West Wing. The West Side, when it's not extended, is so easy to trap people. It is so easy to get so many melee birds because they don't have the extended version to run out. So that Welcome Leon room with the pallet, they don't have anywhere to go. They either go to the window where the totem is and either run towards where you are and you're like or they run to the side upstairs and they either go to a room where there's no extension, so you just melee bird that. Like, it's so easy. You just don't defend. It's very nice. And also, they get the outside gen, like, you can just snipe it, slingshot it. A lot of people say you can't snipe on RPD. That outside gen is a free snipe, because you can either do the slingshot, or you can do one, and they either have to run towards the lobby entrance, or towards the cage gate with the stairs, then usually your power's up where you can hit them. I think East Wing is actually a really good map. West Wing, however, is not that good. It's not that good. It's not that good. Here's the issue with both RPDs. The blue rooms are the most annoying. The ones right outside the main lobby, the blue room with the 3 windows and the 1 pallet, that room is annoying as fuck. It is so annoying. But on East Wing, that's where they're mainly gonna be. That's mainly where they're gonna be. So you ignore the lobby and you defend West Wing, and it's not that hard to deal with. When you get West Wing, where the left is extended and the right is the shorter one, it's really rough to deal with. It's really rough because they have the really good loop, and then they still have the upstairs to deal with, but you don't lose that good loop. So that area is still a pain, while the west is like better and much more of a pain. When you have west side shorter and east extended, west side becomes way more easier to deal with. Like it's night and day difference. So yeah, depending on which RPD you get, I would say one is good, one is bad. One is melee bird C, one is really rough. Really rough. I would say, okay, Eyrie of Crows. Eyrie of Crows is rough, but it's doable. Actually, there are a lot of power. Nah, actually, I think Eyrie of Crows is one of her worst maps, which is really funny when we get to our next one. But Eyrie of Crows has so many pallets, so many tiles. Main building is a pain in the butt. There's a lot of areas where you can W key. Some of the tiles, once you get rid of the tiles, like a lot of the pallets, like obviously like they're easy to melee, easy to trap. But if they have like the one wall tile here and then they got another tile here, they can just W key, loop around, and then go shack, and then go to the other wall palette, and then they run to the tile, and then they run through main. Like, if they never drop anything, it's really annoying, and you have to be like, alright, now I gotta swarm and strike you, and then follow up, and pray to God I don't miss, because I'm not a human cheat code. I can't just land everything. It's not good. Main building is really bad for her, which is funny because Dead Sands is, in my opinion, her best map. Dead Sands is, in my opinion, her best map. Like, compared to these two. Dead Sands is basically Erie's version of Rhyme Fields and Records. However, for some reason, it has a lot less amount. Sorry, lot less amount of lockers. The other big thing is that this map is bright. You will find people on this map. You could get a stealthy person on Wreckers or like have someone hide in the corner and be super stealthy. This map is sand. It's bright. You're going to see people. You're going to find people. And it's crazy how the Crow's Eye used to be like her worst, like one of her worst offerings, and now it's like, you could take me to my best map in the game. A lot of the tiles are very easy to deal with. A lot of tiles are very easy to work with. Like, it's just fantastic. I love this map so much. Garden of Joy. Garden of Joy, in my opinion, is another one of her worst maps. But I am tempted to put it in rough but doable. The God Window loop is not an issue, but main building as a whole, if they have balanced landing, is. But what also makes it bad is how many tiles and they are, how many objects are in the way, where it's like, alright, do I get the melee or do I get the swarm? They're round. Like, that whole line is WQC. The car loop is doable. You know what? I changed my mind. I think I'll put this in rough but doable. I'd put it in rough but doable. I think that's where I'm gonna set it. Garden Joy, notorious for being one of the worst killer maps in the game, and it still holds true to artists. But it's not like you have ways to deal with them. It's just like, gotta hope you land your shots. Gotta hope you placed a bird there. Like, this god window on the side actually becomes a lot rougher if a hook spawns there, because then you can't melee trap it. The god window along the side is annoying. The window up here is annoying. Like, if you know someone's up there, you gotta swarm trap them, where you place a bird aimed where the window, where underneath the window is, where when they drop, you send birds, swarm them, and then you try and follow up. Like, it's just, like, it's really rough to play this map on Artist sometimes, but it is doable. Greenville. Where would I put Greenville? Greenville's not the worst. But there are so many pallets there. There are so many pallets, like Pallet City, Pallet City, Pallet City, Pallet City. I can't speak anymore, Lamau. So many pallets. It is really, really rough sometimes. Just for the W King alone. For the W King alone, this map is not a good map. However, once you get through some of the tiles, like once you get through like one of the pallets on the double pallet tiles, this map becomes very easier. It's rough in the beginning, but you can easily catch up. It is a big map, which does hurt. Theater can be annoying. The fountain area is not that bad, so I'd probably put this middle of the road. There are some areas on this map that are annoying, but it's not awful. Once you get through the resources, that you can easily follow up. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I have not played on this map. like a lot as artists. I actually really haven't. I haven't played this map a lot, which is interesting to think about because for artists, it's kind of rough because the main building is huge. It's absolutely massive. There's some areas where you can trap it very very well. Um, but there's that one window on Foxy's stage that is very hold W key, and then they can run up to the main stage. There's usually a window there that's W keyable. There's a lot of rough areas on this map, but you know what? I'll put it middle of the road. I was thinking about the outside. The outside's not too bad. Just main building can be a pain in the ass. Fallen Refuge. This map, I would kind of say is good. There's a lot of areas you can snipe on this map. Just like, it's not a bad map, but it's one of those things where I have to not be biased, where I'm like disappointed. I'm like, man, this map. I do have a little bias because this is the map where, if you've seen my LD clip where the bird just went through her, it's not a bad map whatsoever, but it's okay. Like, it's not great. But you can get some good snipes. There's no elevation here. I'd say it's fine. Shattered Square, though, however, is a fantastic map. I like Shattered Square. I honestly might put this up in her best map. Shattered Square is fantastic for artists. There are so many areas that, like, I feel bad for survivors when I get this map, because this map is so easy, so easy to deal with the tiles. The tiles suck here for Survivor. I feel so bad for survivors. The tiles here suck. And main building is very small. It's very easy to deal with. They just got the one window right here, and you can easily swarm, like, place a bird down here and bait it. They have the one pallet. This map is easy. I think it's great. Shattered Square is very good. Now, Forgotten Ruins. This is where I'm going to disagree with a lot of people, because there are people who tell me Forgotten Ruins is her worst map. Forgotten Ruins is her worst map. And I don't blame them. This map feels like shit to play on. However, it is a RPD E-swing thing where if you just defend the top areas, you will win a majority of your matches. It is very easy to deal on Forgotten Ruins. The issue is, holy fuck, it's boring. It's so fucking boring. That's why I hate this map. I can win on this map, like, no question. Like, it's super easy to deal with. The doors are super close. Like, endgame is a guaranteed victory. If you find the hatch and, close it, like, the survivor might as well come up and be like, just take me. Because, like, you win. This map just is so boring. It's so poorly designed. If you commit to chases, you will lose on this map. Because they're going to run through the portals. They're going to run you through the top layer and then down to the bottom layer and then top again. Like, that's why you will probably lose. But if you just defend the top areas and don't let them go through the portals, you will win like 99 of your matches. But God, like, I completely understand the frustrations, because I hate this map, because I'm like, well, I gotta play top gen defense, I just gotta swarm, and then if you run through a portal, I just gotta leave you, I don't chase. Like, it's one of the most boring maps in the game. I hate playing as this as artist, but like, strength wise, it's one for best. But man, I want to put it down here because of how flippin' boring it is. Anyway, rant over. Toba Landing. Toba Landing's not awful. It's not good. but I would honestly probably say it's rough but doable. The main issue, of course, is main building. If they are not on the top gen and they're just running through, it's rough. However, if they are on the top gen, you see where like the vault is, like just place two birds at the entrances where like under the vault and under the drop off on the right. Just place them there, and then you just walk up, force them drop down, melee bird. It's very easy, very easy to hit those, and it is great. I love it. Some of the tiles here are kind of annoying. They can be a pain in the booty to deal with. Especially because kind of like with Yamaoka and Mother's Dwelling, like they're not linear. There's like plants and stuff in the way where you can't like fully melee them sometimes. But like Toba's not awful. I'd probably say rough but doable. And last but not least, Nostromo. Nostromo is rough but doable. The big issue with Nostromo is the main building's elevation is just high enough. Unless they're in the back room where it slightly goes down, like where the back gen is, where if you swarm someone and they run up that ramp, unless that bird goes up a little bit of elevation, it does not hit them, and it's really aggravating. It's just high enough where the birds will not hit, and it unless a little bit of help or they're on the back gen. And it really sucks because that is a huge part of the map. Some of the tiles are really annoying. It is a bigger map overall, and then unlike Forgotten Ruins, endgame is kinda sometimes a guaranteed loss. If you can get a slingshot and down on them, that's great, but because they're so far apart, the doors are so far apart, if they time it right, where you swarm them and then you wait for your cooldown and then swarm again, unless you're like right there on them and they didn't play right, like they're basically like endgame's basically a free out for the survivors, which is what makes this map rough. However, there is a good amount of dead zones, especially near the corners of like the back right corner from standing out from main building, because you have main building and then left corner is the little mini ship. On the right corner, it's pretty much a dead zone. Left back corner near the first ramp into main building where the little what the fuck is the thing called? Face hugger is. That's pretty much like a good area to. That's a good area for her. But like main building's a pain, and some of the tiles are a pain. So I'd say this is my artist map tier list. Would I change anything? Would I change anything for her? No, I think this is a good enough list. Alright. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for more artist content. I will happily get you guys a new artist add-on tier list soon. Thank you all so much, and bye-bye!